Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Hustle behind the scenes for July 2020. Why is that important? Because today I'm going to be talking about a post I made exactly 1 year ago, mid-July 2019. And I'm going to expand on the social media post. I only had a 1-minute video, was not doing the podcast then. So today on the podcast, I'm going to expand on the ideas of success coming from hustle and attitude. Those are the two things behind great success. I'm going to break down the social media posts I did last year, expand on each one of those, hopefully go about 15 minutes on the podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in here on YouTube. You can also check it out on, the podcast is on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and the Anchor app. And of course, you can check out the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast social media post on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and LinkedIn. So with that in mind, here we go. We're going to start the podcast now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Here we go. Hit the wrong button. Now, here we go. Good morning. It's Saturday. I'm in the office. You know what that means. The Saturday Morning Hustle podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in again this week on the podcast. And I'm actually going to do another flashback episode. I'm going to go back to a post I made exactly 1 year ago today on social media before I was recording the podcast, but I was still doing the social media the Saturday Morning Hustle social media post. And I'm going to expand on these ideas. I'm going to read you a couple of paragraphs from that post. I'm going to expand on each one of these. Basically the idea of success coming from two main factors: hard work and positive attitude. It's simple to say, it's a lot harder to execute on it. So that's the conversation that we're going to have on the podcast today, is what happens when you work hard and have a positive attitude, how this all goes together tactically for each and every one of you to be able to implement into your life. So here we go. So last year in Saturday Morning Hustle, I posted this. Here's the first paragraph. True success comes from a positive attitude and willingness to give more than you take. We all hustle and grind every single day, even on the weekend. Of course, that's the Saturday Morning Hustle way, for the opportunity to build something for ourselves and our family. That's what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to own your own business, or propel your career as the best employee where you work. That's paragraph one. Simple enough, right? Everyone talks about working hard, hustling. A lot of conversation about, do you work hard, do you work smart? I say you do both. You work smart, you make decisions, you make plans, and then you work hard. You got to work your guts out. There's only a few ways that you really set yourself apart as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, in a career, and the amount of effort and the willingness to really care about what you do. So that's the attitude. Having a positive attitude takes you really far because people notice it, people feel it. If you own the business, your clients, your customers, your employees, everyone that you work with, if you keep a positive attitude, if you always find the positives in it, and you create positive situations, win-win scenarios for you and anyone else in the relationship, whether they're paying you or you're paying them, when you create equitable relationships because you have a positive attitude that everything works out the way it should if you were doing two things, which is working hard and being positive, that will be infectious for everyone else involved with you. And the second half of that conversation is creating a business or creating success or being successful in your career, not because you want money and cars and things. It's okay if you have cars and things. It's okay to make a lot of money. It's not very smart to chase money. Then you end up doing stuff that you, first of all, you're not very excited about. Second of all, you really are unsure about. And then finally, you get into the ethical questions of whether you should be doing something at all or not. So if you don't want to go down that path at all, pursue things that make you happy, that you're interested in. Pursue higher things and ideas, and the money will come if you do a great job at it. So don't go into career paths simply for the money. Go into career paths that you have a skill set, that you have a natural desire for, something that you can do and want to do for the rest of your life, and then find ways to make money out of it once you get in there into something that you could show up for every day, even if it's 6 or 7 days a week, even if you got to go in early and stay late. If you are doing something that you appreciate what it is and you feel good about it, that will keep your attitude positive. That means your hard work will be even more, it will put more hard work in and it will pay off for you. That's why these two things work together. Hard work and positive attitude feed each other into success, not chasing money, not taking shortcuts, not ever getting into questionable ethnic or moral areas. All these things will always propel you to success. The exact opposite of those things, chasing money and taking shortcuts and being unethical, will always end ultimately in negative results. It might have some temporary value, but it's always going to end badly for you. So here comes the second paragraph. But it doesn't mean that every minute of every day is spent getting just ourselves ahead. Often you need to do things that are not just for you, but others. We, as a whole, do not expect, we don't expect enough of this. When we collaborate with other people, we don't expect them to do this as much as we give for them, but we still should give more. 51-49 at the very minimum. Of course, that's the Gary V rule, Gary Vaynerchuk, you know what I'm saying? 51-49 at all times. I am more of a 70-30 kind of guy, 60-40 sometimes. So we'll talk about that in a second. And sometimes it's 100% for others. This is things you do for the community. This is things you do for young people, people starting their career. This is mentorship. This is giving back. And sometimes you do things 100% with zero expectation and zero actual payback for you outside of how you feel on the inside about it and how you know that helps your industry, your area of expertise, and ultimately how, again, you have a positive attitude about your hard work because you're able to pay that forward. So sometimes you do things with zero expectations at all for you, and it's 100% for someone else. Don't expect a return outside of a warm feeling in your gut and a positive voice in the back of your head. This is exactly what drives people to hustle and grind, come in on the weekends, come in early, stay late, do the things other people won't do to gain that success. Is they understand that feeling of success and creating success in others, and that will always create opportunities for you moving down the road. Third paragraph, why? It opens opportunities for you in ways that you can never plan. You meet new people, you hear new ideas, you're inspired by others that you would never otherwise met. This is all in giving back at 100%, or at least giving back to others more than you expect in return. So I'm going to say that again. It opens new opportunities in ways you could never plan. Things will happen you weren't planning on. You probably didn't even think it was something worthwhile, but doing it for the good of others will create opportunities you did not expect. You'll hear new ideas. You'll be inspired by others you would never have otherwise met. We all need this. The ROI is always positive, and it can't be measured in raw numbers. That's when ROI is not always a dollars and cents scenario. You've got to do things. You've got to experiment. You've got to take risk. And if it's something where there's very little outside of you, other than doing it 100% or 70% or 60% for someone else, taking that risk, going in a direction you normally wouldn't go as an experimentation to just see what happens. And if nothing returns to you at all, economically, business-wise, career-wise, but simply, again, that good feeling you give yourself, and you experimented, you got outside your norms. That's the 80-20 rule. You got to do 80% of what your core is, do your core 80% of the time, experiment and do other things 20% of the time. That 20% experiment should be things that are beneficial for other people because you create great value. And then everyone involved, everyone essentially is receiving more than they're giving, are going to find ways to give you back in the future. You can call it business karma if you want, but it works out every time. And at the very, very minimum, and this is still great ROI, the feeling you get internally, the drive that it gives you, that you'll get up the next day, you'll get to work, you'll put the hours in because that drives you, because you know you're doing good. That is as much value as cash value often. Trust me, this attitude has served me well. Last paragraph, the more I give, the more I get. I'm having my best year ever. This is exactly 1 year ago. Of course, this was pre-COVID, but honestly, as crazy as COVID has been, I can't complain right now. In fact, I'm not going to complain because I've kept a positive attitude. I've kept my work ethic up, and I've created opportunities out of things that should have been disadvantages. And so it just goes back to positive attitude, finding the absolute positive track in a terrible, crazy, upside down situation like COVID. And the fact that people were in danger of losing their businesses, going bankrupt, maybe losing their house, not being able to pay their bills, and finding opportunities to create scenarios that help them and eventually will come back to me. I don't expect to tell you guys what I did during COVID-19 that was super beneficial until this time next year. But when it happens, I'll tell you, I told you so. So I'm having the best year ever. This is 2019. I hope that you are too. Get busy, hustle, grind, and do what it takes. That includes giving more than you expect in return. create value for others, and people will always see the value in you. When you create value, you have value internally, and people will see it and recognize it. Now think about this. Flip this scenario around. Do you want to work with someone who takes advantage of you? No, you don't. Do you want to work in situations where you're not even getting a 50-50 equitable share of, but you are on the losing end of the stick? Do you want to always be the low end of the denominator in a conversation? No. Human beings do not appreciate that. They don't like that. That's not how they want to operate. So you do your best work when you're not feeling that way. So flip it around. Give people the opportunity to feel like they're getting more than they get, and they will go to bat for you. They will go the extra mile for you. Prove that you're doing things the right thing in the right way, and you're playing the long game. You're focused on long-term success, not dollars and cents today. And these people it'll be repeat business. You'll have brand evangelists. You'll have referrals. Not only just referrals, you'll have people walking in, potential clients, highly potential, the right client that you're looking for. And people will be walking in and begging the person that they know to hire you, to do business with you, because you did right by them to begin with. And again, if it's in your 80-20, if it's that 20% of the time you're supposed to be experimenting anyways, all of these new opportunities are coming to you in new and different ways that you didn't expect, which is bonus, which is the best. And anytime that something comes through a brand evangelist or a referral, any business like that's the best business because it costs you the least to actually gain, the potential to hold on to first convert, to create an actual client relationship, and then continue on because you're meeting the expectations that you've set because it's your work ethic, and then the continuation of that relationship, keeping that client, repeatable business, bankable business, plannable business, all the best, most profitable ways of doing business. This is why there's every advantage to playing the long game, putting others first, not thinking about today, but thinking about big picture, creating value for other people at all times. That will come back to you in ultimate value. And it comes back to you in a way your competitors can't take it from you. It's not a nickel and dime scenario. It's not about how much money do I have to pay you. Can you give me discounts? Can you give me this? Can you give me that? They're asking you instead how they can be in a business relationship with you. You don't have to sell anyone anything if you approach it with this attitude. You keep that attitude positive, and then you work your guts out. That's the last piece. Just because you gain the business doesn't mean you're going to keep the business unless you perform, unless you over deliver, under promise. You always give more than expected. You go that extra mile. You provide the customer service that you would expect when you're the customer. If you do all of those things, then that client is super happy. They're super happy to cut that check at the end of the month. They're not going to nickel and dime you. They're not going to renegotiate. They're not going to go to your competitor because they offered him 5% off or 10% off, or they bought him a hat this week or whatever. So you create loyalty, you create repeatable business, you create bankable business, you feel better, you put better effort in, you achieve higher. Every time you do it, you get better at it. It feels more comfortable. See how this is going. You've got the snowball of success happening. So it goes back to that same simple idea. Work hard with a positive attitude and everything will work out for you. But you have to stick to it. You have to stick to it like a mantra. You have to dedicate yourself to it. And again, it's a long play. And I've said this term, long play, and think big picture a couple of times. I'm talking 5 and 10 years. I'm not talking 5 months. I'm not talking 18 months. I'm not talking in the next quarter. Absolutely not. I'm talking about do now, do today, do this month, do this quarter, do this year. Even right now with COVID affecting business, you maybe aren't doing business the way you want, the way you expected. You aren't meeting what you thought your 2020 was going to be, but it also means that you have time to focus on different things. You have time to experiment right now because people are allowing a lot of experimentation. There's a lot of adaptation. They understand people have to change because of COVID, because of the government, because of the way things are happening, because we're running out of coins, everything else that's stacking up into how we all do business. People are allowing leeway, but you got to continue to earn that business. You have to continue to have a great attitude and work hard, provide more value than is expected, give more than comes back to you, and eventually when it comes back to you, it's the big pie, it's all yours, you have complete control of it, and it's highly profitable. That is the dream. That's the entrepreneur dream right there. And I think that's the conclusion of this flashback episode, the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week on the podcast. Absolutely appreciate you guys talking with me today about something I talked about a year ago and expanding on those ideas. Of course, I want to hear from you. So if you're listening on the Anchor app, call in. And if you're not listening on the Anchor app, you can call in to People's Podcast. So maybe you should check that out. Check out the podcast on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play, on the Anchor app, on Podchaser. You can leave a message. You can leave a review. You can leave a comment on all those platforms. And will get back to me. Go and check out this hashtag Saturday Morning Hustle on Instagram and Twitter. Check it out. Check out the swag on SaturdayMorningHustle.com. Today I'm wearing a new Saturday Morning Hustle baseball hat, embroidered baseball hat with a hashtag on it. You can check all that out. You can leave me comments. You can send me an email from SaturdayMorningHustle.com. Let me know what you like, what you dislike. Let me know what you agree with. If you disagree, if you want to hear more of something, you have a suggestion for something I should talk about on the next Saturday Morning Hustle, whatever it is, I appreciate the feedback each and every time. Until next week, work hard, work smart, positive attitude, earn it, even on the weekend. Coffee and donuts, y'all. See you next week. There we go. Almost 15 minutes exactly. Thank you, YouTube. 16 minutes here on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning into the behind the scenes. The Saturday Morning Hustle podcast will be on all those channels previously mentioned. You can get your baseball hat like this, the t-shirts, even face mask with the hashtag Saturday Morning Hustle and the new hashtag EntrepreneurAF. New t-shirts coming soon, so check those out on SaturdayMorningHustle.com. I appreciate you guys. Check it out on Instagram, on Spotify, on Google, on iTunes, here on YouTube, all those great places. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Those of you on YouTube, make a comment below. Let me know what you like, dislike. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe so that you never miss an episode. I'll be reposting older videos of the Saturday Morning Hustle, the highest rated ones, along with new ones like this one on the YouTube channel. So hit that subscribe button so you can check that out. I'll see you next week on the Saturday Morning Hustle. You guys have a great week, a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.